Underwood from ABC's Offsiders. How this incident unfolded overnight?
Here's how it unfolded. Super Sports Cameras, which is a South African TV broadcaster, a very patriotic TV channel, picks up that Bancroft has tape in his pocket. Darren Lehmann, of course the Australian coach, was then spotted on the walkie-talkie up in the change rooms. A message gets down to the 12th man, Peter Handscomb, and then a few minutes later a helmet gets delivered onto the ground. Cameron Bancroft has then admitted he got the message and he panicked and he put the tape in his pants to hide it. Now, tape is an abrasive substance. You mix it, Richard, with the dirt and the granules, as he said, and it just roughs up the ball. And it feels like that the modern cricket or the modern game has really become a race to see who can get the ball to swing first.
Yeah, well, what's happened at lunchtime, they've looked at the ball, obviously, before going off and said this isn't going to reverse. So what they've done is found this really super adhesive tape, which they then would put on the ground and pick up little granules and rub that on the ball to try and induce the reverse swing. Cheating.
Richard Hines there from the ABC Offsiders team. So that's how events unfolded overnight. We now know that Steve Smith and Cameron Bancroft admitted to the ball tampering. Steve Smith saying that it was a plan devised by the leadership team. Cameron Bancroft then acted on it on the field. For more, I'm joined by cricket writer Catherine McGregor, who now joins us from Melbourne. Catherine, thanks for your time again. We spoke to you a little bit earlier today. We've since heard from James Sutherland, who hasn't made a decision yet on Steve Smith's future as captain. Says a process will be undertaken over the next couple of days. Was that the correct decision, or would you have liked to have seen something more concrete today from James Sutherland?
I think I would have liked to have seen something more concrete, and I think cricket lovers and followers throughout the country expected to see something concrete from him. It isn't a trivial point to a requirement for natural justice when there's going to be some sort of investigation into this incident, but the simple fact is there has been a complete rupture now between the adulation, respect and buy-in of the Australian public with this team. If Twitter or any of the other social media platforms are anything to go by, the average poor mug who drives their kids to the park or to the nets to play cricket, the average person who gets fleeced at every level of the game to fund these salaries by these princelings who populate first-class cricket in Australia, the public are absolutely fuming. They believe the myth about cricket, they believe about the baggy green representing everything that it means to be Australian, and they elevate captaincy of the Australian cricket team to a very high status in our popular culture. They feel betrayed and cheated, and they wanted something emphatic done on this occasion, and Sutherland squibbed it.
Can you understand his reasoning with going through this process, or is the fact that we've seen pretty damning evidence on tape an indication that we didn't really need to go through this process?
Yeah, precisely. Look, I get the point about natural justice. It's not trivial, but the fact is that the players have confessed, and I heard Gideon earlier, and that stunned me about it as well. It's the absolute insouciance of that news conference, the lack of any moral qualm, the lack of remorse, just a bad day at the office. If they all think this is going to blow over, they're in a parallel universe. This captain of Australia, unless he is suspended, and that was open to them, they could have suspended him pending the inquiry without sacking him, or they could have induced him to stand aside. If they think this is going away, I think they're absolutely deluding themselves. Fast forward to the domestic season and see this lad come out to bat as the Australian captain. If he's not roundly booed by Australian crowds and his position made untenable, I'll be really surprised. I can recall the 1981 incident involving Greg Chappell and Richard Hadley, which has been fallaciously likened